Hey, what's up everyone? It's your boy coming at you with some fresh YouTube drama that's been heating up lately. Grab your popcorn, because this one's a doozy. So let's talk about the latest beef between two big names in the streaming world. Our boy Charlie, aka Moiscar1tocow, and the controversial figure Sneeko. Man, these two have been going at it for a while now.
Ford is a dude who doesn't believe in anything, who games for 13 hours straight, and so guys, I farted in a diarrhea and this happened. I'm not gonna say names. Someone texted me. He's in a monogamous relationship.
And things just keep getting spicier. Cast your mind back to last year. Sneeko was deep in his red pill phase, you know the type, posting non-stop about Charlie and a bunch of other YouTubers and streamers. He even made this wild collage that got everyone talking. But that was just the beginning, folks. Things really kicked into high gear when Sneeko dropped a video of himself dancing around with a gun, seeming to threaten Charlie.
Wanna watch my clips? Watch my clips.
I mean, talk about escalation. This clip spread like wildfire, especially because of what people started calling the mag comment.
But he's a f***ing imbecile, you absolute buffoon. What you have there is not clips. These are mags. They're mags, not clips. The same way that this is also a mag.
It was peak drama, let me tell you. Now you'd think that would be the end of it, right? Wrong. These two ended up in a debate, and most people watching thought Charlie absolutely demolished Sneeko. It was like watching a verbal smackdown. Charlie made Sneeko look pretty childish, and a lot of viewers thought that was game over. Charlie had won the war. But hold up, because Sneeko wasn't done. He's been coming at Charlie again, this time over the whole Mr. Beast and Chris situation. If you've been living under a rock and don't know about that, well, that's a whole other can of worms we don't have time to open right now. Anyway, Sneeko's been calling Charlie a coward for not immediately speaking up about it. He's saying Charlie is a hypocrite for talking about Dr. Disrespect, but staying quiet on Chris.
Yo, look out, Moist Critical is not going to go talk about the Chris situation because he wants to have the Mr. Beast collab.
Charlie wasn't about to take that lying down though. He fired back on Twitter and even dedicated part of a video to addressing Sneeko's claims that he was ducking the topic.
He's always going to make a full breakdown of this because it's bad. It's a horrible situation. So yes, you're right. I do talk about like big trending bad shit like Dr. Disrespect or like Cody Ko most recently. I don't know why people thought I wouldn't talk about this. So I've never been someone to and shy away from a bad situation like this just because I know or am familiar with the person that it's about. He has no problem abandoning his morals and defending blatant brushing it under the rug as long as it means it keeps the Mr. Beast collab alive. For you to make insinuations like that and even claims like that is f***ing unhinged, considering you make actual defense arguments.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any more intense, boom, these two end up in another debate. Now I've got to be real with you guys, this debate was long, like 90 minutes long. And your boy here, I didn't watch the whole thing. I mean, come on, I've already lost enough brain cells to YouTube drama. But from what I did see, whew, it was a wild ride. This time around, people weren't so sure who came out on top. Both Charlie and Sneeko were dropping some pretty out there comments throughout the whole thing. It was like watching two guys trying to out-crazy each other, I swear. Let's break down some of the craziness, shall we? First up, we've got Sneeko. This guy's been on this weird anti-age of consent kick for a while now.
It's just because we have a different idea of what it means to be a child, which can be tracked historically. The general principle in Islam is, you can do what you kind of want, so long as, I'm not going to say you can do what you want so long as you harm it. You can marry whomever you want to marry, so long as it doesn't cause them harm, physical and psychological. And once again, is very...
I don't know what's up with that, but it's definitely raising some eyebrows. So Charlie decides to challenge him on this. He asks Sneeko if he thinks a 21-year-old should be able to marry a 15-year-old. I mean, can you imagine? Someone who's about to graduate college marrying someone who's just starting high school? It's wild.
Talking about your personal beliefs, do you think someone in their 20s should be able to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
Sneeko's response? Well, let's just say it didn't exactly win him any fans. He started going on about how it's almost like arguing why we should have any laws at all.
I personally wouldn't do it. I don't know many people who would do it. the maturity for people and the teenagers in the West is getting much worse. But there are
We're talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for, and I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore, anyone, do you think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16
Why would I tell anyone if everybody's
if
consenting,
there was
if
a
everybody's
marriage
okay with
where
it,
the father
the parents are okay
consented
with it,
and the daughter
if nobody's
consented,
being harmed,
and it was
if it's
both
going to
good
be
on both
okay,
families
if
and they
they're both
wanted to
abiding
do it,
by
why am I gonna
the
get involved?
rules and
Why
not
should we get the
hurting each
government
other?
involved?
Why not?
I mean, come on, dude. We're talking about kids here. Now, I get it. Nobody likes the government all up in their business, telling them what to do. But as a society, we've got to have some rules, right? Some basic understanding of what's okay and what's not. And I think most people with a functioning brain can see why a 15-year-old isn't ready to marry someone in their 20s. Think about it. A 15-year-old is still figuring out who they are, what they want in life. They're not equipped to make a decision as big as marriage, especially not to someone so much older. That's the point Charlie was trying to make, and honestly, I think he's spot on there. But here's where things get really twisted. Sneeko pulls out the classic debate move of using someone's own logic against them. He flips the script on Charlie. When Charlie tries to make a point about kids and transitioning, it's like watching a game of verbal tennis, but way more cringeworthy. Now let's talk about some of the other stuff Sneeko's been saying about the age of consent.
Like, why does that define the age of consent? I had a debate about this, and I said the age of consent is maturity, is the age of puberty, once the body is mature. Because, bro, I know some people, I went through puberty when I was like 17.
This guy's out here saying it should be when someone goes through puberty. I mean, what? That's just... I don't even know where to begin with that one. I'm sitting here wondering if he's saying this stuff just to be shocking, you know?
That's why the age of consent being strictly, exactly, on this second 18, this defines maturity, and everyone has to pretend like, yes, that defines maturity. This is the correct age, not 1 second more, not 1 second less, and if anything contradicts it, you're disgusting.
Like, is he really believing this? Or is he just trying to stir up controversy? Either way, it's a pretty messed up hill to die on. Think about the implications of what he's saying. If a girl hits puberty at 12, which lots do, Sneeko's basically saying she's ready to marry a 25-year-old man. That she's mentally equipped for that. It's just no.
Critical is like, Sneeko, you say that the age of consent is, what do you think it is? I don't know. What do you think it is? Tell me. You think it's 18? It's only 18 in something like 10 states. The rest of it's 6, 17, 16. Around the world, it's 16. A lot of places, 14, 15. So what do you think it is? Is everybody in the world... Japan, they just changed it from 13 to 16. Were they before then? What's the...
By that logic, he shouldn't have any problem with what Chris from Mr. Beast allegedly did. Heck, in Sneeko's world, Chris could have married that kid he was talking to on Discord as long as they'd hit puberty. It's a slippery slope, folks, and it's covered in red flags. Now, in my humble opinion, the age of consent should be 18 across the board. That's when you start getting more freedoms. When the law starts treating you as an adult, you can make your own decisions and deal with the consequences. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that, but here's where Charlie stumbles. He falls right into Sneeko's trap.
Do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting, as you agree with.
Sneeko basically says, well, Charlie, you're saying a kid can't consent to marry an adult, but they can consent to make other life-altering decisions? And just like that, they're both making the same flawed arguments about two different controversial topics. Here's my take. Neither of these things should be happening. Period. End of story. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for adults transitioning if that's what they want. It's their body, their choice. But should a child be making that kind of life-changing decision? In my opinion, absolutely not. Should parents be making that decision for their kid? Again, I've got to say no. It's like if I took a baby to a tattoo parlor and said, hey, I consent. Put a tattoo on this baby's forehead. There's a reason nobody would allow that. It's just not okay. I've got to say, this might be the biggest L I've seen Charlie take.
So, a child can cut their off and take hormone blockers and change their biology forever, but they can't get married?
Well, that's a decision that now extends beyond the family, because now you're bringing in a different party. So if you have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child, I don't think that can happen.
He walked right into it. Once someone starts using your own logic against you, it's pretty much game over for the debate. But here's the thing, I actually think it's easier for someone to transition if they wait until they're an adult. From what I understand, if you start hormone blockers too young, before your reproductive organs have fully developed, it can lead to complications down the line if you decide to have surgery. So really, it's in everyone's best interest, including people who know they want to transition from a young age, to wait until they're at least 18. After all this went down, Charlie's been getting roasted online. Sneako's been practically begging him to release the full debate on his channel. I'm curious to see what Charlie does next.
Okay, if I'm 16 and I personally want to marry this girl, she's beautiful, she's 21 years old, her family wants to do it, my family wants to do it, you're saying I can't do that. We're both consenting, I'm ready to go, I'm physically mature, but I'm not allowed to marry because Moy says that woman's a... But if then, the next day I leave it, I'm depressed, I want to cut my penis off, I can go right into the clinic, snip it off, and start taking HRT like Chris Tyson. That's a society that makes sense to you?
It is. I believe
okay.
Everyone has I believe everyone has the right to do with their body what they want to do.
Okay.
As someone who puts their opinions out there for a living, this was definitely a take that a lot of people seem to disagree with. Now, here's where things get even spicier. Just as I was putting this video together, we got some updates on the situation. Apparently, Charlie's walking back some of his comments, and there's even talk of him potentially leaving the internet altogether. But let's be real here. I wouldn't say he's necessarily walking anything back.
I thought he was talking about the overall point of a child transitioning, which is years-long process. And you can't even get that fucking surgery legally until you are 18.
And the argument he's making about everyone acting like what Sneako said is okay. It's kind of missing the point. Sneako's been catching heat for his age of consent views for a while now. It's pretty clear at this point that he's built up an audience that's gonna ride with whatever he says, so it's not surprising that his fans aren't giving him backlash. This is the kind of stuff he's been preaching for a long time. Before I head out, I just want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this drama breakdown, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And remember folks, the internet is a wild place. Stay safe out there, and try not to get caught up in any YouTube beef of your own. This has been your boy, bringing you the latest in YouTube drama. Until next time, peace out.